Hi. How you all doing? Good.
Alesha, how the devil are you?
You want the truth?
Well, you just told me that you just got back from Ibiza, so...
Yeah, I'm still recovering from a trip to Ibiza. I'm not going to lie.
Would you like to give us any details?
Put it this way. I felt like I was 21 again. I was raving in the club till 7 a.m. We went back to my room for what we call chat down. And then we went for breakfast at like 8:39. And then I finally went to bed about 10 a.m. So had about 2 hours sleep.
That's
but
pretty good.
It was totally worth it. And on a serious note, we were actually out there for Eva Longoria's Global Gift Foundation, and we performed, and it was an incredible night. We had so much fun, and it was totally worth feeling the way I feel right now.
Well, you don't. Well, you don't look like the way you think you're feeling. I can assure you.
It's called a glam squad.
Okay, so I didn't realise this, but 17 years in this biz we call show, singing, dancing, presenting. What do you think is the secret to
17,
your...
really?
Yeah, sorry, it is 17 years. Well, 1999 was Mis-Teeq, when you first formed.
Wow.
So by my terrible maths, I make that about 17 years.
Oh, no, we're not doing pictures.
Oh, yes.
Oh, no,
yes.
you didn't warn me about that.
So what do you think is, if you can...
Oh, no.
What do you think is the secret to your longevity?
I don't know what the secret is. I mean, I guess it's just about making smart choices, and you know, I love what I do, and I'm so blessed to do what I do. I mean, when I started out in Mis-Teeq, I think one of the most important things for us was having longevity. We didn't want to be a girl group that came along, had one song, and then you never heard from us again. You know, we wanted to make our mark. We wanted to make an impact. And we really prided ourselves on working really hard to achieve that goal. And yeah, so to hear you say 17 years is slightly surreal.
I'm sorry.
But it's fantastic at the same time because, you know, the way I see it, you get one life, you know, and you have to come here and you have to enjoy it to the max. You have to follow your passion. You have to do what makes you feel good. And I give thanks every day that I get to do that.
Great.
Yeah.
And let's talk.
Can we get rid of that now?
It's going to be out there for a while,
good,
while we're still talking about music.
Good.
Yeah, let's stick to music, because obviously that's where it all began for you.
Yeah.
Would you still say that's your first love?
Yes, I'd say, I mean, somebody asked me earlier, you know, what do I want to be known for? And as much as I love taking on new projects and trying, you know, having new creative challenges, music is the heart and soul of who I am and the reason I'm in this industry in the first place. And, you know, it's my passion. It's what makes me happy. It's what makes me feel most like I'm myself. When I'm on stage, I feel alive. And that connection that you have with people through music is so powerful. And so I think whatever I do, I guess, yes, music will always be at the heart of it. Yeah.
And obviously you're still completely involved in music. How much has the music industry changed, do you think, since those early Mis-Teeq days?
Massively. And I think that's, you know, there's pros and cons to it. You know, I think in the Mis-Teeq days, we didn't have Snapchat and Instagram and Twitter. We didn't have anything like that. I don't even think we had MySpace back then. So things were a little bit more organic. Things didn't happen so quickly, didn't happen overnight the way they do now for a lot of artists. You know, we had to really work hard to, you know, make people aware of the band. And thankfully for us, we had a lot of support from a lot of DJs who really put Mis-Teeq on the map. And I think the thing is, for artists now, there's a quicker way for people to get to know them. And they can reach their fans really quickly, which is wonderful. And not every artist needs to be signed to a major label now. I think that's another thing. I think the artists are taking the control back into their own hands. But at the same time, the artists are also suffering because the way that people listen to music now has changed so much, so artists aren't making the same money that they used to make back in the day. People aren't selling as many records as they used to sell, but the love for music is still there. It's just forever changing, and as an artist in this day and age, you just have to learn to kind of go with that flow. You have to work with the times, otherwise you just get left behind.
Sure. And you talked about, you know, taking control. On your latest album, Do It For Love, you had complete control over all aspects of that release.
Yes.
How did that feel?
It felt amazing. I mean, I basically decided to set up my own label. I think, whether people want to admit it or not, there is definitely ageism in the industry. And I think for me, I just didn't want to try and compete with, 20-year-olds. I thought, you know what, I'm a 37-year-old woman. I know what I want. I know what's important for me. Let me just go and set up my own label and do it on my terms and make a record that I love. No politics, no games. I'm not, I think my intention with it changed because it's music, but it's a business. And I think I just wanted to just get back to, the love of music. And there was something so rewarding about doing the whole thing yourself. I put together an amazing team of people that I have worked with over the years. And it was a passion project. And we were the underdogs again, and it felt great. And I'm really proud of the record, and I loved writing it. And I'm going to start working on a new EP next month. So I'm good. I'm back on stage, and I'm happy.
Yeah.
And I was also emceeing in Ibiza at 6 o'clock in the morning in the club. Hence why I sound like this right now.
Can we just go back to Mis-Teeq again? Because there have been rumours.
Yeah.
There have been rumours about a possible, I personally would love this, and I'm sure there's lots of people in this room that would love it, right? That you might be reforming. Is there any truth in those rumours?
Well, I did meet the girls, and we had what we call a nice little chat down, and a good catch up. And I love the girls, and there's still that respect there. And I think when they did the whole big reunion thing, we were approached to do it, and we said no because I loved watching the show. Don't get me wrong, but it wasn't quite right for us. And we kind of toyed around with the idea of maybe just writing. Not putting anything official on it or any pressure on it, and let's see what organically or authentically grows. And I think that's all I can honestly say about it right now. But yeah, 100%, I would love for us to have a moment and something happen.
Yeah.
I just don't know when or where.
And big reunion, obviously on that show, a lot of the acts that get back together again have not spoken to each other in years. But that never happened with Mis-Teeq, did it?
No, the thing is, when you're in a band, it's so intense. We were together, 8 years. You spend more time with each other than you do your own friends and family, and it's like being on the road with your siblings, and you know what it's like. You love each other one day, you want to pull each other's hair out the next day, but the love is there, and I think and for us, the respect is there. And what we achieved together was so special. Again, we were signed to an independent label. We didn't have the same money pumped into us that a lot of our, contemporary artists around us were having, signed to, if it's Universal or Warner's or whatnot. And so everything we achieved together, it was just that little bit more special. And I'll always, always love them. I've got so much love for them.
Me too.
Oh, that's sweet. That's sweet.
So sort of fast forwarding to 2007, which was
yes.
the year that you won Strictly.
I love that we're bypassing 2006. Okay, good.
How
we won't talk about that year. Literally doom and then woo!
Let's focus on 2007.
Yay!
Yeah.
They said to me today it's going to be so positive.
How did you find that transition from music to TV? Was it a big step? Was it very different?
Different, but I guess in the Mis-Teeq days we were doing. Oh no, here they go.
Great photo.
It's really not. We were doing so many TVs, and I'd done a little bit of TV, obviously, in that Mis-Teeq period. So it wasn't completely new, but obviously doing ballroom and Latin dancing was very new, and putting yourself out there in such a vulnerable way when you're going through a whole heap of madness all at the same time. So yeah, it was definitely a turning point. Ended up being one of the most incredible experiences of my life. I literally felt like I was given a second chance. And when the show ended, on the actual night that I won, I know it sounds really corny, but I just felt like everything was going to be okay. It was just a really weird feeling. And it kind of was. So it was a real blessing. And I loved every minute of it. I really worked hard on that show. I trained 10 hours a day for 4 months. And it was worth it. It was really worth it.
Yeah. And obviously after winning it, you then ended up being a judge on the show. And I don't know how many people can remember, but you replaced Arlene on the panel, and you did come in for a little bit of flack at the time, didn't you? How did you deal with that criticism?
I guess putting things into perspective. I think that's always been one thing I've been good at. It's TV. It's not life or death, and there's real issues going on in the world. And I think if you have a grip on reality, you can kind of deal with what I call frivolous entertainment industry, politics, rubbish. It's not important. And so if anything's written in the media or anyone says anything negative, I just try my best to just brush it off. And I look at it, it's just a bit like a moment in time, isn't it? And you know it's going to pass. I think with anything like that. And it really was only about 2 or 3 weeks out of my life that, you know, the papers were being a bit mean, and I had the paparazzi sort of camped outside my house, and I was called every insulting name by every female journalist that you can think of. And it was disappointing that female journalists were being that way. And I just was thankful that I'm not that way, because I just don't think that there's any need to be mean. But it's the nature of the beast. And in a way, you know, when I signed the contract, you know, my manager and I spent so many nights debating, talking about whether it was the right thing to do. When you say yes to something like that, you know what you're getting into. So you have to be thick-skinned to just deal with whatever comes with it. And so we did, and it ended up being an incredible experience, and I genuinely loved it. And everybody that's been a part of Strictly always talks about the Strictly bubble, and it exists. It's like you're in Strictly world, and everything's lovely, and it's a super friendly show to work on, and I had the time of my life.
So, did you love it enough to go back? Because Len Goodman has announced that he's
Look at that cheeky little
down.
Controversial question.
So
You just threw that one in there.
Would you be tempted to go back?
I mean, for me, like, I think it's about moving forward.
Sure.
You know, so, and actually, and I'm really sad that Len's leaving, but I totally understand. I had a great catch up with Bruno recently. And yeah, I mean, it's a massive deal because he's been there from the start. But I understand, but no, I certainly wouldn't be going back.
Okay, so if you're not going to go back, any suggestions of who might? Because Arlene's actually thrown her hat into the ring.
I'm sure. Personally, I think it could work with the 3. No, I didn't. No shade. Look, it works with 3 in America, so why can't it work with 3 in the UK? And
Sure.
just have Craig as the head judge. That's
Craig
what
would
I
make
do
a great
anyway, but I'm not a
head judge.
producer on the show.
Okay. Let's swiftly move on to Britain's Got Talent.
Okay.
Have you got an all-time favourite act?
All-time favourite
Yeah.
act? Before I became a judge on the show, it was Flawless and Diversity, just because I'm a huge fan of street dancing, and I love the fact that they brought it to a mainstream audience that hadn't really fallen in love with that style of dance before. Since joining the show, probably my Golden Buzzer act this year, 100 Voices of Gospel.
They were great.
They were insane. And Attraction, Ashley and Pudsey. Yeah.
Obviously, being part of a show that huge brings with it a certain level of fame, and you're quite a private person. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you maintain that?
I think you just act accordingly. I mean, I go to work, and when I go home, I'm home, and I'm very good at separating the two. You know, I think for a lot of people, they might struggle with that, and the lines get blurred sometimes, but for me, it's just really simple. I get up, I go to work, and that's that, and when I go home, you know, private time is private time. But I think since having my daughter, our daughter, should I say. I get told off by my partner for saying my daughter. Since having our daughter, I think it's helped me become more open. And obviously, like my partner and I, we were together for many years and no one ever knew. And obviously when we announced we were having a baby, that gave me an opportunity to kind of just be a bit free, because I think I'd been quite guarded up until that point. And, you know, and I don't want to be seen, you know, in different public relationships. Tell me something. Why is it famous people, when they split up with someone, before you've even blinked or had your dinner, they're with someone else? And like literally walking out in public with them.
You should ask Taylor Swift that question.
No, but not even, but do you know what, right? Not even just Taylor Swift, like just generally, like we talk about this all the time. Like I don't understand it. Like if you've been in a serious relationship and you're in the public eye, how can you just blink your eye and then the next day you're just happy to be out parading around with your next boyfriend? I mean, fair play to people for living their life, but at the same time, you can't then complain about people talking and speculating about your relationship when you just throw it out there so willy-nilly. And so, yeah, I took pride in really getting to know my partner privately. Yeah. And like I said, when we had our baby, that felt like a time where we could just let our hair down and just be a little bit free, because I think for many years I hadn't been. Sure. You know?
I've got one last question before we go to the floor for questions.
We're going to the floor.
We are indeed.
Oh, nice.
I just wanted to ask about Mandy. Amanda Holden.
Yes.
Because you obviously have a great bond, you two,
We
on
do.
Britain's Got Talent.
Yes.
What do you love about working with her so much?
She's filthy. And you genuinely never know what's going to come out of her mouth. I mean, honestly, I thought I was a bit cheeky, but she's next level. And I love that about her. She's brilliant.
It does come across.
She's brilliant. Good fun, and she's a girl's girl. And when I joined the show, she was the first person to, contact me and said, come on, let's go for a drink and let's be united. And I loved that about her. And she said, I want to set an example to my daughters that women should support one another. And I think that the media tries so hard, don't they, to pit women against each other. And I think with Amanda and I now, I think it's obvious that we've formed a friendship and we're sticking up for each other and we've got each other's back. And I think it's refreshing because I think women should do that.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's great to see. It really comes across. Okay, we're going to go to the floor for questions. I should say, actually, if you're watching this live, you can...
hi, Mum. My mum's watching.
Your mum can tweet
well.
questions by using @AOL BUILD UK. So please get them in now for Alesha. And first question from the floor. Hi.
Alesha, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
Looking amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Excellent. My question is, musically growing up, who was your inspiration?
Musically growing up. As soon as you said it, cliche as it is, the first name that came to mind was Michael Jackson. And I was absolutely obsessed and used to copy all of his videos and learn every routine. I also loved his sister, Janet. And I loved people like, in my house was very interesting because my dad was always playing reggae. And then my mum had a lot of, Diana Ross and Marvin Gaye, even people like Pink Floyd and David Bowie. So I had a really nice mix. And as I got a bit older, it was people like Nena Cherry, a lot of the sort of girl groups from the States I loved, like Jade, TLC, Salt and Pepper. I just had such a broad taste, though, in music. I liked so many people. But I'd say Michael was one of the biggest influences. And Madonna, actually. I was the first black Madonna in my primary school, I'll tell you that much. Yes, I used to steal my mum's tights and cut the foot bit off and put all the jewellery on. Yeah. I wish we had that photo.
I was just going to say the same thing. Okay, next question, please. Thanks.
Hello, Alesha.
Hi.
Hi. If you could change anything in your career or do anything differently, knowing what you know now, what would you change?
That's a really good question, and I've definitely probably done things that in hindsight didn't need to, but at the same time, even literally before I came in this room, I was having a conversation with a good friend of mine, and I said to her, when I look back on my career, the moments that were down were actually where the most growth took place. So I think I probably needed to learn the lessons that I learned in those moments. So I don't want to say I'd change it because I think I needed to go through it for myself. It made me who I am, and those moments make me make better choices because of it. And I think it's important. I think it's important to kind of have a bit of this in life. That's how you become well-rounded. So yeah, a few things I've done. I look back at certain things. I'm like, oh, no need for that. But generally, I don't have many regrets because I think it's important to go through it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Any more questions?
If that kind of answers the question.
Please.
Sorry.
Hi.
Hi.
Obviously, you've set up your own label and you've been in the industry for years. What advice would you give to emerging artists, and do you plan on signing artists to your label, or is it just for yourself at the moment?
I've always said I don't really want to sign artists to my label because I don't want to make money from artists, because I think that's one of the biggest problems we've got in the music industry, is that a lot of the labels treat the artists like a product and they spit them out, chew them up, spit them out, and actually it's about artists having a career. And you're so vulnerable when you're an artist. You put your heart and soul on the line. It's a really risky business. And so my advice to a lot of artists is to know your industry, prepare. Yes, you love music, and yes, you've got a passion, but learn about the business side of it, prepare yourself and protect yourself. Do as much songwriting as you can, because that's where the real money is. And make sure that you just have a sense of who you are. And just be smart, because I think anything can happen in the industry, so you always need a fallback plan. That shouldn't stop you going for your dreams, but just make sure you protect yourself and surround yourself with good people, because good managers are genuinely hard to find, people that genuinely care about you as an artist and your well-being. So work with people that believe in you as an artist, love your music just as much as you do. And but it's such a hard question to answer because you just want to protect all the young artists emerging. But like I was saying earlier, with social media now, there are a lot of successful artists that are doing it on their own labels now. And it might be more of a graft, but it's great because they're in the long term they'll be more financially set up. They'll be in control of their whole business, and I think that's the way forward. And merging with other brands as well.
Sure. Are there any artists that you particularly rate at the moment that you're loving?
I'm loving. There's loads of artists that I love. Skepta just came to mind because he's somebody I think about a lot. He's somebody who's kind of doing his own thing and showing how he's empowered himself. Stormzy is another one. We with Kano in Ibiza. I love him as well. He's actually my favourite UK rapper, Kano.
Okay.
There's loads. I mean, I've got a lot of love and respect for. Sims, Lil Sims. Does anyone know her? Yeah. I'm glad someone does. You'll know about her soon.
You heard it here first.
AZ, who's that other artist that I absolutely love? Nao. Have you guys heard of Nao? She's amazing. So I love it when artists are just at that point where they haven't completely crossed over into the mainstream yet, but there's that underground bubble and buzz about them, and that's the really exciting part for me. Watching their growth.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right. Next question.
Hi.
Would you like to do something different, like being in a musical, maybe?
I would. I've looked at musicals in the past, but the roles haven't felt quite right. But I would love 100% to do that because it sort of ticks all the boxes of the things that I absolutely love. But I would love to be a part of something fresh and something new rather than something that's kind of been up and running for a while. So it's just timing, I think. And I think when you get into musical theatre, what I know from friends of mine that do that, it's full on. You've got to be prepared to sacrifice other projects maybe that you're working on to really dedicate to that. So when the space opens for me to do it, I would love to.
Yeah, Rebel Wilson was talking recently about Guys and Dolls just being hardcore, like she's known nothing like it.
Yeah,
but,
I take my hat off to people in musical theatre. And if you prove yourself in musical theatre, I think it helps you, with acting because people have so much respect for people that have done musical theatre because it's the real deal.
Have you done any acting?
Little bits. But I have actually started having acting classes because I just wanted to, test the waters, and I would love to do something that again has sort of music at the heart of it, and it would be a new creative challenge for me. So I'm definitely having those conversations.
I look forward to seeing that. Time for one more question, I think. Hello.
Do you rap? I'm very open-minded. Wow, how do you choose Kendrick Lamar? He's deep, and I love that. I love artists that are very political and yeah, I know it's not to everyone's taste, but I just love it when artists have something to say. And he's so artistic. I mean, did you see his performance with Beyonce? You see it? It's just incredible. He's a real showman, and I really respect what he does, so I'd say him. Yeah.
I lied. We have time for more questions.
Oh, okay, cool.
Next question from the floor, please.
No one's got any. Yeah, hi. Chat down. I love it.
Almost.
Down chat, the remix. Okay, I'm going to remember that one. Yes. Down chat, that's the new one. Right. I would tell my 19-year-old self to not worry so much. I think, we waste so much time feeling anxious and worrying about things that's so out of our control. And it's really stagnant energy. And actually, things always work out for the best. So I would probably say to my 19-year-old self, everything will be okay. Just take time. You'll be fine. There's nothing to worry about. You've got this. Because I spent a lot of time living in the future or being affected by things of my past. And the only thing we have is right now. It's the only thing we have, and we need to cherish it because life is too short.
Do you still get nervous before you go on stage?
I get nervous coming out here. Yeah, I mean, I get nervous, but in a nice way. It's like it's nerves are really important as an artist. You need that. It's kind of like revs your engine up. It gets the adrenaline going, and it kind of gets you into the zone that you need to get into. So I welcome them. It's just about managing the nerves, but they're not a bad thing.
How do you manage them?
You just do like breathing techniques. You just have fun with my dancers and my crew. We just have a good time wherever we go. There's always music, and we give, like I said, we're so grateful to do what we do. We wake up every day and do something that we love. So I don't like to take that for granted. And I think just knowing that we're there to do a job and wanting to do the best job possible, and being confident in that, you know. But that comes in time. You don't get that. You're not born with it. You have to go through life and become more experienced to gain that confidence.
Sure.
You know.
I have one last question.
Okay.
You've got Brighton Pride coming up.
Yes.
You're headlining, and you've just done London Pride.
Yes.
How do those gigs differ to other gigs? Are they different? Is it a different vibe?
There's a lot of love in the air at those gigs. It's really nice. Like London Pride, we nearly missed that. I mean, we got stuck in Cannes. It was a complete nightmare, and we nearly missed the gig, and we got there. And I thought sometimes when you perform in London, the crowd is a little bit more reserved, but they really went for it. They made us feel so welcome. We had an incredible time. I wouldn't say people are people for me. So, and a gig is a gig. And every time we perform, I say we because my dancers and I, we're a team, and we just love to bring the energy, and we just want people to feel good, and that's always our mission, to make people feel good. And we always get the audience on stage with us. That's quite an important part. But they're so much fun. I've done a few of them. The crowd is crazy.
We will see you there. That is
we'll see you there as well, will I?
Indeed. You will.
Okay,
It's on
be
my
at the front with your glow
It's on my
stick.
doorstep. I'll be there. That is all the time we've got for today.
Well, that was short and sweet, wasn't it?
Thank you so much. You've been great.
Thank you.
Alesha Dixon, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.